Hi guys, this is Heather at Homeschool Culture, and I think I'm on the third part. We're going to talk about ADHD, specifically ADD, because that is what I am working with my child. But I think some of these actually would factor in to ADHD as well, the more the hyperactive. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with that. The biggest thing you need to do is you need to look up something called executive function. So executive function, I highlighted it for us. Okay, so executive function is a higher order cognitive process. Is called known as executive function. Executive function refers to the mental process and behaviors that enable self-regulation, systematic problem solving, goal-oriented actions, and are evident in activities such as decision making and planning. We use executive function for planning, organizing, strategizing, paying attention, remembering details, managing time. People who have difficulty with this group of executive function may have problems with self-monitoring, which involves checking for appropriateness, completeness, and quality of work. Work pace may be poor, meaning they go through too quick or not quick enough, with inconsistent accuracy and error, and ability to recall and demonstrate learned academic skills. So you know that time when you tell your kid to do something and you think they're not listening? Again, it's not as black and white as they're not listening, okay? This is an area that I have never even heard of. Maybe I did when I was going through my counseling, but I don't remember it. And it's something that I just want to just take book after book after book and try to really wrap my brain around it. But things that are going to help with his ADHD, and what I can do. So obviously if because we're at home, so we're going to want to give him reminders to stay on task. If he was at school, then they would have like seating closer to the teacher, things like that. But as a homeschool kid, you're going to want them to have reminders to stay on task. Let's say you want him to do or her do a worksheet, and it's not that they can't do it. Like, let's say it's just math facts, but they easily get distracted. You know, the whole squirrel, that type of thing. Then you're going to you want to set timers. It doesn't have to be, these are just some sand timers I picked up. They have times, 5 minute, 3 minute, 2 minute, 1 minute. So again, it's not about how quick can they get the work done. It's more about keeping them so they have a visual to say, okay, I'm supposed to be doing this and my time's almost up and I'm over here not paying attention, right? So they are taking responsibility and ownership of time management, essentially. And this can be outside of schoolwork. This could be for, sweeping the front porch or, whatever. It's crazy how much this executive function plays into other learning disabilities. And it's almost like it just compounds it. So where one kiddo might be dyslexic or have dysgraphia or whatever, but the kid, then you add the ADD or ADHD on top of it, and it's like, it just compounds the whole situation. And so, again, that was like for the mama heart and the mama brain, I was just like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to get through this? But we are. We take little bits at a time, and we pick up things like this to help out. Again, I'm showing you all the stuff. I haven't incorporated all of it yet, obviously, and I am going to start doing things like this. And as I go through things like this and I'm like, this is really helping, I will share it with you. And just because it helps my kiddo, remember, it might not help yours. Or if it doesn't help my kiddo, that doesn't mean it won't help yours. So just know that. But things like that, and they don't have to be this. They can be on your phone or they can be whatever, but they need to visualize it. Like they need to physically see it. So just know that. Okay, they did recommend medication. And I don't know how you feel about medication. I am not one to go to it yet. He was definitely classified as moderate for this. It wasn't mild, but it wasn't severe. And I think because if we were in a school setting, then I might have a different tune on it. But because we're at home and because we have one-on-one time and because I can sit and dedicate hours to this child, I'm not at this time, I don't know if I'm going to go that route. So I'm just going to leave it there. But that's definitely something that's very personal between you and your family, you and your spouse, all of that. And so I'm not going, I don't know. I don't know what's best. I haven't researched it enough to know. I just know I'm not necessarily a fan of big pharma. So, but I have family members that have done it, and it was the way that they were able to get through college, all through school, but, to get through college. I have family members who are adults who take it, who are like, that's the only way I can get through my day. And then I have people that are like, my son was a robot and I hated it. And so I think even within just that, even if you try it, it might be a trial and error. It might be something that you try and go, nope, we're not doing it. Or you might try it and be like, this is the best thing ever. I don't know. That's something that you're going to have to decide if you even get that diagnosis, obviously. And me and my husband are still, it's something I'm going to be praying about, to be honest. And I need to actually probably start praying about it. I need to start doing that now. And I know that God will direct me to what we need to do. So there's that. Okay, next thing. I already talked about reminders to stay on task. This right here, doing time limits helps it. Checking for understanding, you have to give them clear, simple, step-by-step directions. Repeat directions. Have them repeat it back. And I think this has a lot to do even like outside of, so in the classroom, when I say that, like one-on-one with me and my son, I see what he's doing. I know what he's doing. Very seldom do I walk away. Now, there are times that I walk away and I walk back and I'm like, you've done two? Like, you've done two, but then it's funny how I'm like, once you get that done, you can go do this, and it's something they want to, and it's their brain at that time, they are very focused on, okay, I need to get this done. So they can manage their time. We need to help them know how to manage their time. I think if that makes sense. That is what that's what I'm trying to do as a mom. But outside of the classroom, we live out here on a little farm, right? If my husband says, okay, Cross, today I need you to do this, 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 and this, we'll be lucky if one gets done. It's come down to, if you want him to sweep the floor, put up his shoes, fold his clothes, then you need it written down where he can see it. Okay, here's your checklist for today. These are the things you need to go do. If you're wanting the iPad later or the laptop or whatever it is they use, or you're wanting to go outside, then I need this done. Like, I need this done in 30 minutes. And of course, give them time frames that are realistic. So you're going to give them those time frames, and you're going to, and it's amazing if they want the reward bad enough, they can do it. But still, don't take that, and when I say that, don't be like, well, then they should be able to do it all the time. It doesn't work like that. And I promise you, I can see it in my kid's eyes. I see it in his work. Like, I see it in his ability. He needs to know that. He needs to have a mark-off sheet, or he needs to say, okay, his dad, Cross, I need you to go do this. Now, what are you going to do? That's another thing. Have him relay it back to you. Dad, I'm going to go do whatever, I'm going to go put this tool up in the barn. Okay, when you get done with that, I need you to come back to me. So when you're done with that, what are you going to do? You're going to come back to me. Eventually, over time, yes, you won't have to be so specific, but it's going to be less headache and frustration on your part, and help them at the same time, because they're mentally filing away of what you're doing. They're listening. You see them. That big, you see with your, you hear with your eyes, that type of thing. Make eye contact, make them make eye contact. All of those things are going to be beneficial. Clear, simple task instructions. If it's multi-step, start with one and then maybe move on, and then, do trial and error. Okay, I think at this point, and again, it's going to be, every kid's going to be different, every age is going to be different, etc. But don't assume you can give him a 5-step project and he's going to remember all 5 steps. Start with 1 step. Y'all are doing pretty good at he's getting 1 step done like that. Okay, let's try 2 steps. And I'm not saying like the next day. I'm talking about over, a span of time. Try that. If y'all are not doing things like that, if you're not doing things where he has to do multiple step or she has to do multiple step things, I would think about trying to get that into him. If they're not doing chores, they need to start doing things that they have to mentally, how about this? If they're not doing those things, how are they ever going to learn time management? How are they ever going to learn how to do common tasks? in a timely manner if we don't provide opportunity for them to do it now. So if you're not, for some reason, you might think about doing it. And sometimes I know if you're like me, it's just easier for me to do it. But they need that, and they need that time to be able to do it. And if they do it wrong, it's okay. You don't go to them ugly and anger. In anger, you go to them, hey buddy, this is how you need to do it. Let's try it again. You know, and I think that also has a big way on how you address things with them. Like for instance, if my son is doing something wrong and my husband yells and screams, that processing, you just halted the processing of his brain. Is it the way it is for everybody? No, but it is for him. And again, if you read more information on executive function and things like that, you'll understand it better. But just a little bit of my 2 cents on things that I see with our family. So for school, break assignments into manageable parts, provide feedback on each component. If you're wanting him, especially like with reading comprehension, if you're wanting them to read, let's say 3 pages and retain that information, then you're gonna need to maybe even break it up into a paragraph. Okay, read that. And of course it needs to be stuff that they're able to read, you know, that they're not having to struggle so much to read. Now, tell me, what did you just read? Or ask them questions, you know. As the teacher, we have to do our due diligence in preparing and making sure that we know, you know, there are, especially with these kiddos. Again, he is not my daughter. He is not a kid I can give a book to and go learn. I could do that with her. It's gonna be totally different with him. Is it more work on me? Yep, it is. But I'm gonna have to do it. And I'm not trying to come off harsh or ugly. It's just reality. And it's one of those things you're just like, wow, you know? But man, it is so, the gratification I get when I see the milestones that he hits, and when I see how excited he gets at learning, and when I see like, okay, buddy, we're just gonna read these 2 pages, and he wants to keep going because he likes it and he wants to know what's next. That gratification is amazing. So stick it. I mean, I promise there's days that are horrible, frustrating. I'm sorry, it's reality. And then there are days that are wonderful, and I'm so thankful that God gave me this job as his mom and getting to homeschool. Okay, allow breaks. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I haven't already said this. I should have said this on all of them. Allow mental breaks. Like whenever the test is like 2 hours, I'm thinking my kid never does anything for 2 hours straight, but that's what they do in school. I mean, that's what's required of them in school. And so I think, again, that's why a lot of kids fall through the cracks, because they are not meant to do that. Kids are not meant to sit in a desk for 8 hours a day and go. I mean, they are meant to go outside, breathe in fresh air, go run around, go play, do things like that. And so there'll be times when, and I've said this before, there'll be times when I'm like, okay, buddy, let's just go. I need to do something. So I'm like, let's move on. And I can see it. His brain power has been done. And then I'm like, okay, you know what? You go outside and play, you know, we'll regroup in 30 minutes or whatever. And he'll come back in 30 minutes and he's rejuvenated, and we move on, and everything is all well. So they definitely need those small breaks. One thing that Charlotte Mason talks about, I know I keep referring back to her, but it's amazing to me that a lot of the stuff that she does actually is beneficial, but I do think needs to be adapted to kids with disabilities. If they're doing math and you can tell they're kind of struggling, try to go into something else. Maybe that's when you do a read aloud, or that's when you do something that they really enjoy, like he loves geography, you know, things like that. Just changing the way, you know, changing what part of the brain they're using, things like that. Okay, one thing that I want to start doing with my kiddo is, I think I've showed this before, but I'm going to start using this. I bought this off of Rainbow Resource, and it's my weekly responsibility. So a mark-off sheet. He or she needs to know, what is my responsibilities? What am I supposed to be doing? And you need to give them ownership of it, especially when they get older. Like he's about to be 10. He needs ownership of this. So like shower and bath. I shouldn't have to tell him to go do that. I shouldn't have to tell him to brush his teeth in the morning and at night. Dress on time, go to bed, all those types of things. Go to bed, maybe. Put things away. And I do have consequences, and I will say this. I went into his room a couple of weeks ago, and I decluttered it. Kids with kids with ADD and kids that struggle with executive function and all of that, they don't need a cluttered mess. And they need everything to have a spot. They need to have this drawers for this. This is the only thing that goes on the nightstand. This is where your shoes go. This is where, everything has its spot. And so I went in and I did all of that. That's one thing that I was like, okay, I've got to get this under control. And I told them, now it's your job. Mom did it. Mom went in and did it, because there's no way he could have done it without it taking weeks. I said, he helped clean, like he cleaned under his bed and like he did certain things like that. But I'm the one that really organized it and made it all work. And I told him, if I go in there and you don't have your stuff put up, if your shoes are thrown on the floor and not put nicely in your closet, or the books that you read the night before, you want to put it on the nightstand, turn off your light and go to sleep. Okay. Then the next morning when you're making your bed, put that book back up. If those things aren't done, you're going to lose your phone. When I say phone, he plays Minecraft on an old telephone. You're going to lose that privilege. You're not going to get to do that. And we've already had to do it once. He lost it. And so that right there helps him. Now, we've used responsibility, we've used charts like this in the past, more for my daughter, not necessarily for him as much. He had one, but it was mostly mom marking off. I am going to bring this back out. It is a 6-month supply, and it is a Monday, or it's a Sunday to Saturday. So other things on here are clean up my mess. And so there's room to maybe even put what that means. Take out trash, which he actually does. So that helps. Help with the dishes, feed my pets, outside chores. There's spots for additional things. Did I participate in class? And so that could be, even though this is really kind of geared towards public school kids, you could definitely do it for you. Did I learn something new? That just gives them something else to mark off, and then let them tell you about it. So what did you learn today, buddy? And then did I finish my homework? And so you could, even if you cross that out, and did I finish my lessons, or, or something like that. And then I like this. It says, what is my goal for the week? My goal for this week is, and so really initiating goals and thinking about what do you want to get done this week is another thing that they talk about with executive functioning. Creating those goals, whether they're short-term or long-term or whatever, and putting those down and writing about them. So that's something else to think about. And then also is this planner. And so I'm not really sure how I'm going to use this. I watched a video on a really cool planner that I was going to purchase, but it was kind of pricey. I want to say it was $28. And I really want to work with, and I'm not opposed to paying that for a good planner if it's going to benefit him. But I want to work with a planner first with him before I go and purchase one to make sure it's really going to work out the best. And I don't even know, I'm going to be honest, I don't even know if I'll end up using a planner. We have a mark-off sheet, which I don't have with me right now, that I mark off. And I might just keep something like that instead. So instead of a mark-off sheet like this or a check-off sheet, it's actually for the lessons for the day. And so I might just be where his sister, it's, she has her own and she does it. It might be where he does that. He has his own, which is another thing I'm going to start incorporating more. I'm going to start incorporating more, more assignments that are self-monitored-ish and where he has to do it and it will be on his mark-off sheet. But it'll be something that I don't even talk about necessarily every day, but I will initially, because we got to get into the routine, right? One of the things we're going to do is calendars of first. So these are things that are going to be easy. So we live out in the country, and we notice when the clover comes up or the bees come out or a certain flower blooms or, we have lots of migratory birds, even hummingbirds, the first hummingbird of the season. And so a calendar of first is also very Charlotte Mason, but I'm going to get him, I don't know if I'm going to do something like this and then just give him this and then he can, just kind of collect it over the years, because it's almost not quite a pocket, but it's almost like one. And then he can go in and do his calendar of first using something like this. I might even talk to him about it. Do you want to do something like this? Or do you want to do an actual, 12-month calendar, flip calendar? But giving them ownership is super beneficial. They need that ownership. And so of their assignments, of their chores, of their time, that time management, things like that. And so I'm trying to incorporate more activities assignments, if you want to call it that. I mean, this isn't something that we're grading. I think I'm going to do one with him. And so like maybe, okay, buddy, like it's, you go outside today and then just kind of remind him, like gently remind him, like, have you put anything in your calendar first lately? See if you can go find something outside that might, qualify or whatever. And so I might do something. I know I'm definitely going to do that. I might use this for that and the mark off sheet separate. I don't know yet. I'll have to figure that out. And again, this is trial and error, guys. Like, you're going to have to try things. They're going to not work. You move on, they are going to work, and you share it with others, so maybe that they'll work for their family. Okay, some other things I wanted to cover real quick with the ADD or ADHD is regular routines. Keeping your child in a routine daily, consistently, for meals, bedtimes, all of that as much as possible will help. And I understand some of you just go, we go to sleep when we want, we wake up when we want, and all that. And it's one of those joys of homeschool. But if it's hindering your child, then you might want to look into bedtimes and routines for things like meals and bedtimes and anything else throughout the day that you can think of. Encourage healthy sleep habits. You really want to avoid screen. There's so much evidence out there that you want to avoid screens at least an hour, if not 2 hours before bed. So if you have a kiddo that loves video games or playing on the computer or whatever, maybe do it earlier, like maybe mid-afternoon to late afternoon, and do other things in the evening so they don't have that screen. Also, regular physical activity can also help with your sleep, being attentive. Even like I said earlier, whenever I let him go outside, so he's not being attentive, right? So I'm going to let him go outside, run around, do stuff. He comes back, he has a whole, his energy is back up, and we can get more work done. Also, positive behavior management provides structure that maximizes the student's chances of being successful. This is something I struggle with as a parent. Some of y'all might do this or have heard of people that do this, like a reward for, filling this out all week and doing it right. We need, and it's so like, well, they should just do it. I so have that mindset sometimes. But then I think about it, and they do. They need a benefit. They need a reward of some kind. And so coming up with a reward system. My son, he just loves going and getting an ice cream cone with his dad. And so that might be the reward. You do all of this all week long, and or all month long, or whatever, however you want to set it up. You and your dad are going to go get an ice cream this weekend. Something like that. Something simple. It doesn't have to be super costly or anything like that. It'll be something simple. But in the meantime, since this would be at least like maybe at the end of the week or whatever, ages definitely play a role in that. Verbal praise is also you might want to consider verbal praise. So if he or she are doing great and they're marking everything off, give them the praise they deserve, because it's just going to make them want to continue, right? To continue work and doing well. Make praise of the comments specific to the situation. So like, very specific. Like, I like how I like that you use that timer on your math sheet and you got it done. That is awesome. And then just leave it at that. You don't have to say, can you do that every time? Or I wish you would have do that. Don't do it. Be very positive when you're doing it. Set high expectations while also providing support to help your student. So again, like I told you all ago, like, have them do chores. Set high expectations, but give them realistic time frames. Give them realistic chores, obviously for age, and give them things like a mark-off sheet so that they can have something to be able to mark off and do that. I mean, how many of us love lists, right? It's kind of that concept. You're teaching them how to utilize lists and things like that to be able to be more productive in life. Okay, I'm going to end that there. This is probably part 3. I probably didn't say that in the beginning. So part 1 was over kind of the experience in dyslexia. Part 2 is over part 3, ADHD, or for us it's ADD. And then I'm going to go into part 4, which will be for math. So think of it, one of the terms that people use for that is dyscalculia or dyscalculia. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it, and then I will jump right back in.